What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Quincy Stewart doing this thing on the mic for you one time, and this is a bit of a discussion video, talking about Dragon Ball Super. This is a bit of a new thing that I decided to do. Just talk about a lot of different stuff about certain anime and stuff like that. So today it's gonna be talking a lot about Dragon Ball Super, by the way. But for today, I just wanted to go ahead and talk about the latest form of the Saiyans, Super Saiyan Blue. Because there's a lot of confusion about Super Saiyan Blue. And, Trunks' new form with the latest episode of Dragon Ball Super. Sorry for spoilers, but yeah. So, I just wanted to go ahead and, throw in my 2 cents about everything that's going on. Okay. So I guess we could first start the conversation off with Super Saiyan God. Now, Super Saiyan God is a form with pure God Ki. Normal mortals can't sense the power of a god. So, naturally, all the other Z fighters couldn't sense Goku's energy when he first became a Super Saiyan God. Goku achieved this form by, doing the ritual, basically where 6 Saiyans had to distribute their energy amongst each other and then give it all to one Saiyan, and that Saiyan was Goku. So as a result of that, bada bing, bada boom, Goku ascended to a Super Saiyan God. Fought Beerus, boom. Now, in the middle of their fight, or as their fight went on, Beerus noticed that Goku had reverted back to his normal Super Saiyan form, and wasn't in the Super Saiyan God form anymore. And Goku, he didn't notice this at first because he didn't feel a drop in power, none of that. He still felt as powerful as he was as a Super Saiyan God. And as a result, Goku's God powers, all his God Ki, his body had absorbed the God Ki into him due to its just natural Zenkai boost. And the Zenkai boost is when a Saiyan gets stronger whenever they're injured in a fight, And so due to Goku's natural Zenkai boost, he had absorbed the God Ki. He was able to be on par with Beerus. He was just able to hold his own against Beerus as a result of him, absorbing his God Ki. And as a result of that, Goku was like, whoa, really? So, Goku's natural ability as a Saiyan, his natural Zenkai boost allowed him to absorb the God Ki. Later on in the show, when Vegeta and Goku were training with Whis, they first noticed this new form of Ki when, they were sparring each other. They clashed, and, they were just like, whoa, what's this? What spark was that? That's when the new form of Ki just sparked out of nowhere. And so, intrigued by this, Goku and Vegeta realized that, they needed a new form of training if they were to figure out what this new form of Ki was and what how to master it. So essentially, they went up to Whis and they were like, listen, do you have anywhere we could train, possibly, anywhere we could just let loose, anywhere with a lot of God Ki so that we could, probably adapt and master it. And Whis was like, well, I know just the place. So Whis allowed Goku and Vegeta to train inside of his staff. Well, not necessarily inside of his staff, but basically Whis' staff is sort of like a portal to a whole nother dimension, similar to the hyperbolic time chamber, only there's no time limit, and this specific dimension is just filled to the brim with God Ki. And a lot of, in my opinion, in my perspective, quite a bit of the fan base has come to call this dimension the hyperbolic God chamber. And so inside the hyperbolic God chamber, or Whis' staff, that's when Goku and Vegeta first, that's when they first got there. And that was when Vegeta first came in contact with God Ki. So he was like, he was just overwhelmed at first. He was like, so this is what God Ki feels like. Interesting. He had never experienced God Ki before. And here's my theory. So once Goku and Vegeta were first sparring, once they were finally able to move around and maneuver in the hyperbolic God chamber, and began sparring, that's when Vegeta began absorbing the ki of the gods. Basically, he began absorbing God ki into his body, which is how he was able to transform into a Super Saiyan Blue without first becoming a Super Saiyan God. Um, and keep in mind, Goku had already had God ki all in his body. He had already absorbed it, so he was able to spar with Vegeta. So basically, once they came out of it and they fought Frieza, Goku had notified everybody that he wasn't the only one who had become a Super Saiyan Blue. Vegeta was also a Super Saiyan Blue, but unlike Goku, Vegeta was able to ascend to that level of godhood all on his own, without no help, just all on his own. And so everybody was just astounded, like, what? How? Really? What? And that's when a lot of the fan base, there was a pretty big uproar within the fan base because everybody was confused. A lot of people had assumed that you had to access Super Saiyan God first before becoming a Super Saiyan Blue. But here's my explanation of the form Super Saiyan Blue. Super Saiyan Blue is a form where they combine God Ki with Super Saiyan Ki. And once they do, they create a whole new form of Ki. That's what Goku and Vegeta did in order to ascend. They created a whole new form of Ki for them to utilize and for their bodies to adapt to in the form of a transformation, aka Super Saiyan Blue. And as a result of this, that's why people like basically mortals were able to sense their ki, as opposed to forms like Super Saiyan God, which is pure God ki, where mortals aren't able to sense their ki, aren't able to sense their power. And as a result of that, that's when they were able to fight Frieza and all of that. So here's my explanation as to how certain characters like Black Goku or Future Trunks are able to access, God Ki themselves when they were never, even a part of the ritual or anything, or had supposedly never come in contact with God Ki. Well, here's the thing about that. So, basically, fast forwarding to the Black Goku arc, when Black Goku had followed Future Trunks back in time to the present day, and Super Saiyan 2 Goku had fought Black Goku. Those two had basically clashed essentially, and in order to fight Black Goku, I have a feeling that Goku used a bit of his God Ki, which would explain why, due to Black Goku's Zenkai boost and everything, he was able to become stronger and, ascend to the form of Super Saiyan Rose. So they never fully explained this in the show, which is why I'm giving my 2 cents. But I have a feeling that Goku did use some of his God Ki in order to beat Black Goku. Because originally, he was just kicking Black Goku's ass. Originally they were pretty even, but Black Goku did have the upper hand. It was pretty evident that Black Goku had somewhat of the upper hand. But, after the fight went on, Black Goku started to notice that he was getting pulled back into the future. Excuse me, and then that's when Goku got the jump on him. And Goku did damage Black Goku somewhat. And so due to Black Goku's Zenkai boost, he was able to absorb some of Goku's God Ki and ascend to the form of Super Saiyan Rose back in the future. And so I think it's the same concept with Trunks. As they were training, basically on, I'm getting ahead of myself. When Black Goku got pulled back into the future, he destroyed one of the time machines that the Z Fighters had in order to keep Trunks from coming back into the future. So once he finally went back to the future, everybody started despairing. They were like, oh my god, what are we going to do? And, the time machine was basically just destroyed. It was damaged beyond repair. There was no way for them to get back. And so Bulma realized that she still had Cell's time machine from way back when. And Trunks gave Bulma future Bulma's journal, which contained the schematics and diagnostics and blueprints for future Trunks' time machine. So as a result, they were able to repair Cell's time machine, and use that to go back to the future. But that took time. So in that time, Trunks is training with Vegeta in order to become stronger and eventually beat Black, on his own. And that's when Vegeta first showcased the form Super Saiyan Blue to Trunks. And Trunks was like, "Whoa, that's amazing! You're even stronger than Black Goku. I can. Your power is immense. It's insane." And Vegeta's like, "You think this is crazy? Kakarot has the same form." And Trunks is like, "What? Really? What?" So Trunks became a little more relieved and relaxed. And Vegeta was like, that doesn't mean you get in the pass. We're still gonna train, and you're gonna be Black Blue on your own." And Trunks is like, "Okay, Dad. I'm gonna make you proud. I'm gonna kill Black and bada bing, bada boom." So those two start training, and that's when Vegeta first introduces the form Super Saiyan Blue to Trunks as an opponent. That's when Trunks first came in contact with the ki of a Super Saiyan Blue. And keep in mind, Super Saiyan Blue is combined with its God ki combined with Super Saiyan ki. So that's when Trunks first came in contact with Super Saiyan ki and God ki mixed together. That's when Trunks first came in contact with God ki, period. And as a result of his Zenkai boost, he was able to absorb some of that ki into his body, which is why, that would explain his new form and how he was able to ascend like he is. That would also explain why once him, Vegeta, and Goku went back to the future, Trunks was able to hold his own with Goku against Zamasu and Black Goku. So yeah, once again, that explains like how he got a new form. And I have a feeling they're gonna explain it in episode 62. Yeah, they're gonna explain all of that. Hopefully, if they don't, then just come back to this theory. Just think about it. Because when you think about it, to be completely honest, personally, I think that when you think about this theory, and actually like start to slowly walk yourself through everything that's happened in Dragon Ball Super, it does make sense, and it does explain almost everything that's occurred. And as a result of that, that's what happened. So, I'd like to thank you all for watching. Everybody, stay blessed. I'm gone.